So the next up is Dr. Asrat. He's the chairman of the iInternet Society chapter within Ethiopia. Can we welcome him with a round of applause?
So basically, Mr. Robel has shed some light on some technical aspects, which I was trying to discuss. So for the sake of time, I'm going to jump those aspects and go for how we can go for a sustainable peering system here in Ethiopia, which Dr. Shoma is going to discuss what we have, where we are, and how we are going about it. So a little bit about me, maybe, for those who don't know me. So I am Asrat. I basically reside in the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department of Addis Ababa Science and Technology University. Then I'm here in the capacity of the chairperson of the Ethiopian Internet Society chapter. So the first parts are already covered. So I will, excuse me. So when we talk about peering, there are so many things that comes to our mind, as at the beginning, Dr. Dawit said. So these peering networks, they have so many, benefits and, varieties, dimensions and perspectives you have to see so that we can capture basically why do we need it and what benefits, those who have such ISPs, okay, are benefiting from. So there are, excuse me, there are technical aspects which we can enjoy. Then there are business aspects and, economic aspects, which we can have, in terms of having better competition, especially those who are afraid of peering networks. So larger ISPs, content providers, service providers, and that are emerging, who are very much afraid of your large corporations. So that is very attractive. And we have, we bring innovation, which Robert was saying. If you have a peering network that is localized in terms of traffic, we can have, local content. Yes, we don't have much, but we innovate for them. Our young generation can work in those areas. Universities, research centers can work in that area. So innovation will be, another benefit we have. Then we have, community building, which is very important, which we don't have now. So those networks that are going to join to this peering network have a common interest. Okay, so this common interest in terms of business and technically and economically will collaborate each other, to have one community that is going to, go for its interest in terms of, forcing the government for incentives, bringing, professionals from different contexts. That will be very important. So there are different peering, possibilities, which Mr. Robel shined very critically. And I want to have, what we want to have in Ethiopia, for example, is something like public and something paid with payment, okay? And we need to have some kind of, national XP, and we may go for regional too, depending on, the nature of the traffic we are having and depending on, the socio-political and economic aspects in the country. Definitely, Ethiopia is a larger country, so we need, more ISPs within Ethiopia. Plus, we have to peer with other national peering networks like Djibouti, Kenya, Sudan. Okay, so that will be very important. We are going to have, regional integration in terms of economic and other opportunities. So this regional peering will be very attractive. So why peering? These are typical examples, okay, to give you just a context. So if you take Ethiopia, as you can see, the overall resilience of our networks are very, low when compared to the South Africa, for instance, okay? So if you go to the specifics, if you go to the infrastructure, for instance, there is a lot we should do. This is taken from Pulse, okay? So we can see so many things. In addition to that, even though it seems the security is good, okay? But these things are, dynamically changing. So we have to have a lot of things we have to do with lots of benefits which have been discussed earlier. So enablers for strong peering community, government support is very critical. Okay, without the green light from the government and the officials and regulatory bodies, it will be very tough for us to go forward. Okay, any step forward. So that will be, we have to bring them on board. Okay, we have to collaborate with them, not only convincing them or making aware it benefits us all, but they have to enact policies and directives. In that effort, we have to be part of them. Okay, so that's very important. Then collaboration between, content developers, data centers, okay, then service providers, research networks is very critical, both in terms of, mobilizing resources, but also in terms of, convincing relevant stakeholders, bringing on board and support the initiative. Then the technical expertise is very important, because without this technical expertise, we can't do nothing. Yes, we have lots of manpower, expertise, engineers, but we have to identify the right skills from all those individuals and bring it on board, and some kind of contextualizing for what specific needs we need. Okay, that will be very important. Yes, funding and investment, especially at the beginning, is very important, where we can, establish the IXP, and other, initial investment is usually very huge, because one of the challenges which we are going to see is, the high cost of infrastructure at the beginning. So that will be very important, and we need to have, device mechanisms for, sustainability. Without that, it will be very tough to get along. Then we need to have, as I said, policy and regulatory framework, infrastructure development, collaboration and cooperation, not only among the ISPs, but, as we are saying, between the private, the public, and other partnerships, not only within the country, but outside. We have lots of resources. Then capacity building, not only the technical aspect, but also in terms of, awareness creating, in terms of the right stakeholders should be on board. Then monitoring evaluation, very critical, because once we, usually once we come up with something good, then we forget about the follow-up and monitoring and, all those things. So the last one is also very important. Then we have, yes, challenges, as have been cited earlier. So we have limited bandwidth nationally, that should be improved. Yes, the government may not involve in that area, but the private investors should be attracted. Now we have an open internet ecosystem where Safaricom has joined. We have to do lots nationally to have better bandwidths in terms of, so that, we can have better solutions running upon it. Then we might have, better latency also, so that with the domestic network, which can have lots of. Then security concern, which I have earlier cited. We need to have, a reliable peering network, so that others are going to join. If it is not secure, it will be tough for them to convince to join. Then these are, will give us better internet connectivity nationally within the, then reduced international transit, so that we don't rely on them. Okay, because one of the benefits of this peering network is redundancy. So you will have better. So we will have affordable and accessible internet, because, as Dr. Light was saying, when packets are going outside, we are paying for it. Somehow, somebody is paying for it. So that will be another benefit. So there are different business models we have to consider to sustain such peering networks. So from the globe, these are what has been, used. So some adopt, settlement free okay, without payment, especially at the beginning. Then when they go along, they start, some nominal payments by the contributors after, observing the benefits they are getting. That can be used, for other communities who cannot afford in terms of, initially joining the network. Then paid peering is another option, as I said, especially as we go along, which may depend on settlements afterwards. Then Impala Traffic Exchange, that will be the model we have to identify. I believe the larger network in Ethiopia is, held by Ethio Telecom, historically. Then Safaricom is gaining traction. But the amount of traffic should be measured statistically, and that will be our leverage to make them, convince your traffic is going to benefit from this. And those ISPs who are joining with less traffic are going to benefit. Then in the long term, all the things are going to be shared. That will be very important for us. The other one I said earlier is in terms of content. Okay, this is very important. This has been said many times. Okay, and out loud. But still, we have to work in terms of content. If we don't have content, that will be very difficult having, after all, a network. And much of the new generation are, learning by their native language. And, yes, they have to know international language so that they can, many of the international knowledge is in that context. But we need to have, content developed for that are running on these systems. So that will be very important. So content peering, paid peering, and segment peering are the most widely used in terms of business models. Globally, the Frankfurt DCIX is the oldest, around 1995. And it has more than, 10 terabytes per second, which is very, very huge. And it has more than 1,000 connected networks, to just give you a glimpse of it. In Africa, we have the South African NAP Africa, which is established in 2012, and it has 1.2 terabytes per second in terms of traffic, which is peak traffic normally. Then it has around more than 750 connected networks. So that will be, very interesting. So they are very successful. How? Basically, these are the factors which we can imitate, which we can model, which we can employ, duplicate here. So strong leadership and governance of the IXPs in terms of strategic location, where we established the IXPs is very important. Both, in Addis, where in regional cities, where is very important, very important. Then high quality infrastructure, as I said, is very tough, especially at the beginning, okay, initial investment. But we have to do it. Without better quality hardware, we cannot have good networks. Then active community engagement, not only, as I say, the ISPs, but other stakeholders, regulatories, and the users are very important. Thank you very much.